Hi everyone! Happy Canada Day. Deadline's be okay. So happy 150th Canada Day. Today I thought since we are Canada Day, I would highlight our own Arborvitae, which is made here in Canada. So we said something gauche. So this oil actually comes from British Columbia. It is also known as Thuja. Thuja plicata is the botanical name for it, and often what you can find when you're looking it up. It's also known, and you'll see a lot of times, Western red cedar. So they're all the same thing. So I thought I would show you guys, starting at the end, a little bit about this amazing Canadian oil. So this is just kind of the one page that doTERRA has about it. So it's really good to protect against environmental and seasonal threats, repels insects, all kinds of stuff. It's really good for skin, really good to promote healthy cell functions. I didn't start using it until Lucas came up with it in his iTobi scan. Is when I actually really started to use it, and I actually really liked it at the time. Excuse me. So I don't use it as much as I would like to, but I do quite enjoy diffusing it. It has a nice woodsy smell. I love the woodsy aromas. It's for the emotional aspect of it. This is kind of the page. This is the page out of the Emotions and Essential Oils book. It assists individuals who believe or act like all progress must be made through struggle and solitary efforts. Instead of trusting in the divine, these individuals unconsciously block divine aid, choosing instead to live by their own efforts. It's a very grounding oil that teaches divinity, grace. So here it says that it's the Latin name to sacrifice. The way that actually it came about also is that it is the French version of the First Nations name, so Arborvitae. So I'm sure there's a little bit of both in there. So it's really good for any negative effects of willful struggle, excessive effort, distrust, being rigid, fearful, need that control. So if you're looking to get peaceful, surrender, grounding, being relaxed, filled with grace, living effortlessly, trust in divine grace, there's a lot of the emotional properties that, or not properties, but the emotional benefits that you can get from Arborvitae. Because it is a wood oil, doesn't mean it's good for wood necessarily, but it does actually make a really good wood polish. So this is just a nice little recipe of olive oil, vinegar, and then 10 drops of essential oil. So what I would do is I would add in 5 drops of Arborvitae, 3 drops of wild orange, and 2 drops of lemon. They all have a little different properties that can help with wood. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys that. And I just want to go over just a few other informations about it. So it is actually one of the oldest trees that are around. They live up to 1,000 years old, and they're some of the tallest trees also in BC. What's really interesting about Arborvitae is that they honestly do not waste anything. So the essential oil actually comes from the sawdust. So because the wood is such a glorious wood, it's very, I don't want to say hard, but it's just a really good wood to use. They use it for canoes. They use it for houses. They use it for totem poles. It is a wood that is based in Native American history, has a lot of significance for the First Nations. So after they're done making whatever they're making with the wood. Then you have all the sawdust. So the sawdust, actually, the oil comes from the sawdust. So there's never actually a tree that is ever cut down to make the essential oil for this. And what's even more amazing is that once we extract, doTERRA extracts all the oil from Arborvitae, what then happens is that they then return what's left, because there's still the wood chunks. We just, they just take out the oil of it. There's still the wood chunks that are left, and they actually send that to paper mills to make pulp with. So there is literally no waste when it comes to making this oil and with these trees. The other thing that's really amazing is that because they are such a protected tree, there hasn't been any, fear for the trees or anything like that. The amount of trees that are used for anything is less than 1% of the forest, which is really good. And what they do is they actually have a law in place that it's a 1-for-1. So they have to replace, or they have to reforest all the trees that they do cut down for building anything that's being built. And the seeds have to be native seeds that are not genetically modified or anything like that. So they actually have to come from the area and be replanted, which is really, really good to keep that reforestation that's going on. What's also really amazing is that the oils in Arborvitae, the chemical compounds in it are actually very unique. So most chemical compounds come with 6 sides. This one, there's an oil in this one, and I want to get the name right, tropolone, and it has 7-side molecule. Due to this, they are naturally more preservative. They have a bit more of a bug repellent to them. And this is why a lot of times the bugs or the trees can live up to 1,000 years, because of that natural bug repellent that's in them. So very, very fascinating oil. There are a few cautions and contraindications for it, hazards for it. So it can be neurotoxic if used too much. So it has a topical max dilution of 0.25%. So you really don't want to use more than the 0.25% on your skin if you're using it topically. If you're using it in a diffuser, it's different, but topical, you want to keep it under that 0.25% just to avoid any neurotoxic, any skin sensitization, or anything like that. Also should be avoided if pregnant. So those are the big things to avoid with the oil. Bye-bye. So if you don't have this oil, get it. It is really nice. It is an amazing oil to have. I really do love to diffuse it, and hope everybody has a fantastic Canada Day. I know it was a decent morning. We were able to enjoy the parade, and then we kind of just got downpoured on, and it looks like the sun might be trying to poke its way back out. So happy 150th, and enjoy your own Canadian essential oil. Bye.